Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. RFK Refugees podcast. Ted here. I have rejoined the show. John is also with me. He is still here. He never leaves. He just
left.
stays.
I just changed clothes though, so it's
he changed clothes to spite me. It was purely to spite me. Donovan Pines were joined by the show. We should introduce you guys first. Donovan Pines, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Before we get into our internal wardrobe disputes, I think it's probably polite to introduce the guest. I think.
Yeah, it is definitely polite to introduce the guests, and also just to let John is wearing a Forward Madison shirt. I live in Richmond. I'm a Richmond Kickers fan. Oh. There is the Henny Derby. It's real, and he wears these just to make me upset and interact with the team apparently. So
I do. Oh yeah, they I think they DM the show account. They love it. I think that listen, if Richmond did a drip kit, I like these colors, so I'm a free agent. I'm a free agent. But anyway, let's get to the thing that people actually want to hear about.
Yeah,
Donovan,
yes,
I'll get us started. So, Donovan, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Let's get started talking about last year. I think that it was a wacky year, but I think it was a great opportunity for you to get a lot of minutes, and you got a lot of on the job sort of as a starter coming in for injured players, just getting in the rotation. You got a lot of experience this year, more than you did probably in the previous year. Right. How do you think? Obviously dealing with overcoming a lot of challenges. How do you think that helped your development going forward?
I think just being confident. For me, I think I need to get more games and show that I could play at this level. And so I had to keep on saying to myself, I can play at this level. I need to get more chances. I got to keep showing that I can play against the best strikers, best, midfielders, defenders, and, even, score on the front end and help our team, win and get to the next stage in the season. So last year I was really blessed to get a lot of time, and things happen randomly, and they said, okay, Donovan, you're going to step in for this role, and I said I took it with a full head of steam and said, okay, I can do this. And first it started with the Cincinnati game, then I just kept going through each game, and then Steve came back, and it was really unfortunate how he got injured again, and so I was like, okay, this is another chance for me to show what I can do. And I was able to play out the whole rest of the season and, almost get that playoff, push. But, hopefully we'll, start on a really good slate from the start of the season, so we don't have to fight our way at the end of the season, because I felt like a lot of guys were pushing so much, and, we ran out of steam at the last minute because, it was kind of a life, survival of the fittest kind of thing with where we were in the standings. So hopefully, I pray that we start on a good slate, be consistent, and win games from the front, so we don't have to, work really hard in the postseason.
Yeah, decision day is fun and all, but let's make it slightly less stressful.
Exactly. Right?
For
I feel
everybody.
like it was stressful on the fans, my family, everyone watching, even the players. So it was just a crazy day.
I like this other plan. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
You also scored your first 3 goals in the last months of the season last year. Should we be putting big money down for you in the new sports book for Golden Boot? Is that a strong bet? What do you think?
Hey, first, I'm a team player, so I'm a team player first. So I want to do the best for the team. At the end of the day, yes, I want to score as many goals as possible if I get those chances. But I just got to focus on what Coach Hanan wants me to do as a defender in our system and solidify my defensive role. And if they need me to score, then I got to be that guy. And hopefully, I'll get my goal is to get 5 goals this season, maybe even more. And hopefully I pray that I can, get to the next level. And so I just got to keep trusting the process, keep trusting what they tell me, and do my job.
I don't think he'll mind if you do. I think the system allows you to score as many goals as you want on corners. I think he's into that.
Yeah. That's what, he said, I got some design plays for you. So
awesome.
Like, okay.
Awesome.
On the corner kicks, I used to tweet out aim for Shinovsky's head, because he was always like one of the bigger, taller players, and that was replaced with aim for Pines' head. Just aim right there and just
right there. just float it up, and I'll just go get it.
Exactly. Speaking of next level, you got some national team attention. You made the preliminary roster for the U23 team. Didn't make it for the qualifying, but I have to think that kind of gave you a boost. Obviously, Japan Olympics are coming up. Did you have many talks with Jason Christ? Have you kind of maybe set that as a goal for this year, that if you make enough appearances, make enough starts, that you can maybe make that Olympic squad in Tokyo?
Yeah, I really wanted to make that qualifying squad because they're playing right now or soon against Mexico. So I'm going to definitely watch that game. But, I try to not dwell on the fact that I didn't get picked. There's so many guys out there, in America, and then there's the European Americans that some of them weren't picked. And so you just have to say, wow, I was blessed to be picked for camp and for the 23 camp and the conjoined men's national team camp. And so, of course, I'm competitive and I really wanted to make that team for the qualifiers. But I have to say, just keep working hard and, keep showing what I can do on the field and what I can do, scoring wise and with my skills, and hopefully I'll be invited back. So I'm really, I'm frustrated the fact that I didn't get picked, but I know that things happen for a reason. So I'm just going to keep proving myself and keep showing that I can play at this level. And the next
You
level.
gave me a perfect transition to my next question, Donovan. Something that stood out to me in your first media availability right after you signed was that you seemed very mature, like super mature, and you had you were ready to mentally compete with grown ass men in this league as a guy just out of college.
I have a beard fully right now, so
yeah, you're right in there. You're fitting in.
Yeah.
Is that mental strength a part of your game that you feel is especially strong and something you came with it right from the start, but do you feel like that's really been a major part of the way you've been able to grow into the league and do well?
Yeah, I think it was the process of me transitioning from college and doing well in the college realm and being one of the best defenders there. And winning a national championship just made me so much more confident than I already was. So going into my rookie season, I felt like, okay, I deserve to be here. I'm ready to go. I feel, positive, and I felt like, I was ready to go. But then I had some injuries and stuff was happening, and I had to regain my confidence. But as for, my third season, I've seen, all these games. There's different type of games that I've played and, different types of players. And I felt like I've grown in the way and understanding how the game is played in the MLS, different formation styles. And now I'm growing in the confidence that, I can play in all these different styles, which means, I can play against all these different opponents. So I started gaining confidence more and more in the different styles we were playing, and we were doing well. And, the games weren't, 4-0, but we were scoring, maybe it was 2-0, maybe it was 1-1, maybe, it was close. So I felt I kept gaining confidence in the fact that, okay, we can play against these guys. They're, professional players on good teams like the Union. I think we tied them last season in the second game at home. And it was like a battle. And it felt really good because that was one of the best teams in the league. And I felt, comfortable playing against them. And I felt confident. And, I just wanted to keep growing. And I wanted to beat them, and I scored in that game. But I felt, I was kept growing as a player. And hopefully I was going to transition that to this year. And hopefully that'll be the case. And hopefully I can lead this team in doing something special. And I'm trying to be a leader for the homegrowns as well, as I guess I'm going to be the second oldest homegrown. So I'm 23. You got Griffin, you got Moses, you got Kevin, you got Jacob Green, you got all these youngsters. And hopefully I can lead them in the right direction to get where we need to be.
Speaking of your development, I think for a lot of fans, especially hardcore DC United nerds like me, it was really exciting that as much as I missed being able to watch DC talent here in Richmond, I'm sure it was a pretty great thing to have for DC to have a professional squad. I'm sure you would love to go right into the first team and play games, but I'm right when you signed your contract. But I mean, I'm sure it had to feel good to at least know that regardless, you had a place where you could get games, where you could get professional minutes. What did sort of those first few games, I guess, with Loudoun, what value do you think those had sort of in your development as a player?
Well, I knew that I was competing for a spot, but I knew I had to get time at the, USL level to gain trust in Ben. And Ben had to trust me in the fact that he would put me on the field and I could do my job. So I played, I think, about like 3 or 4 games in the USL, played with Loudoun United, did really well. I think we tied our first game in club history, did really well that game. And I just kept playing consistent, and I showed my dominance in the air, my defending and everything else, followed suit. And I got my first start against Colorado, and Ben trusted me to play. And I think we tied that game. I'm not sure, but I know I got my first assist that game. I didn't let, one of the players that I watched growing up, Kai Kamara, So it was cool to play against him and shut him down. And I was just like, wow, I'm playing against, Kai Kamara, unbelievable attacker, striker, whatever you want to say. But, it was pretty cool that I could, play against him and do well. And that was my first starting game. So it was important that I got those minutes at the USL to prove myself. And it made me more confident in the fact that I could play at the MLS level in my first start.
Speaking of which, Kai Kamara should be on an MLS roster right now, right? You would say?
I would think so. I mean,
he's not. He's not.
I know he was on Minnesota, right?
He was. He's a free agent.
Jeez, we should have.
He's nowhere right now. So I was just that just popped in my mind when you're talking about how challenging it was to play against him. Dang, anybody can go get him.
Just call Dave. Call Dave. Like, hey,
that would be a perfect. Oh my.
I agree. We'll send a DM to somebody. You mentioned Ben. I want to talk about Ben for a second. What did it mean? What did having Ben Olsen as your first professional coach mean to your career at DC United? What did you learn from him as he was here?
I think he was a really great coach and player coach, and the fact that he listened to us and he talked to us about the game tactics, and he let us just figure stuff out on our own, and it kind of made me grow as a player and as an individual. He made me figure stuff out, but if I was understanding something, he would step in and try to fix whatever I was screwing up. But he was really vocal in the fact that he would talk to me after and during practice to make sure I was on the same page as him, and just kept learning from a great DC United player, a former DC United player. So I was really blessed to be under his care as a rookie and as a young player in the league, and it was really fun to play represent him in the club, and I think it was just a blessing to play with him.
So obviously now we have a new leader, Hernan Losada. I guess what first maybe excited fans about him was his sort of commitment to playing sort of attacking soccer. But I can imagine as a defender, you hear quotes like, "I'd rather win games 6-5 than 1-0," being like, "Coach, yeah, we can win MLS Cup winning game 6-5, but I'm a defender. Can we get some shutouts in there?" Yeah. How do you sort of feel about I don't know if Ben was necessarily opposed to attacking soccer, but he definitely had a more I'm going to put the team out there. We're going to be compact defensively, where we're not going to make mistakes. How does it sort of feel for you as a defender? And give us some of your impressions on Hernan to sort of have a change of pace. He talks about vertical, playing attacking. How has that been so far?
Yeah, that's a very, very intriguing question. So I guess for Coach Hernan, we really want to focus right now on pressing, our lines, the 3-back. So the midfielder is going to be very open in the fact that one of the defenders has to step in and, step to a striker or a midfielder so they can close the space. And so we can capitalize on, getting that ball back quick and play vertical passes so we can basically get in the attack in the final third quickly so the defense isn't they don't adjust to it. And then we can just, do what we want in the final third. So he really wants us to play vertical passes, be very aggressive on defense, and recover the ball and go forward. That's what we're mainly working on in preseason right now. And in the next coming weeks, we're going to start working on playing out the back and finding different outlets from the back. But right now, we're just trying to press, get as many people forward as possible, and try to we have fast back so we can recover the ball, then keep it, then circulate it, and then find the open passes on the wings and to the strikers. So that's basically what we're learning right now for Coach Hernan's formation. I think it's like a 3-5-2. And for Ben, it was specifically we were playing 4-back consistently, and for me, I played a 4-back all my life, and then sometimes we transitioned to a 3-back, and I never played a 3-back, and that was the first time when I played against Colorado in my first game. But I knew what I had to do because we trained all the week leading up to it, consistently, and what I had to do, stay with my guy, and all I had to do, was stay with Kai Kamara and stay with the striker and do what I had to do and shut him down. And they couldn't get any outlets because I was shutting him down, and basically I was doing my job. And once I knew what Ben wanted, then I was I stayed on the field because I was doing my job. And then I knew once I, screwed up, and I remember I did that in the game against the Union. I think we lost like 4-2, and it was kind of interesting that I thought I was fouled. I was like pulled down, and the guy was like dribbling in, and I tried to recover, and I think Bedoya cut it in and scored, and then we got like a red card. It was just a terrible game. But in that game, I got subbed out, and that was kind of like my last game I played for a while because of the scoreline. And from that on, I was like, okay, at this level, I can't make any mistakes. It's just something that in this league you can't make, and it's people will replace you. So learning from Ben is just you got to take your chances and don't take them lightly, and don't take them for granted, and do the best you can with that moment. So you try to win the moment as much as possible when you're playing.
I think it's you brought up the mistakes, and I feel like that is it's unfortunate for defenders and for goalies. When you make a mistake, it usually results in a goal. As opposed to a midfielder losing the ball.
99.9%.
Right, and it's too, as a young player, any young player has to make mistakes to learn. Like you really, you're not going to develop and iron out the deficiencies in your game and sand it off without doing it. Right.
Right.
So I don't know if this is actually a question or not, but what's it like to know that you're going to have to go through those bumps, but also know that those bumps will probably result in a goal because of your position in the field, like as opposed to a midfielder who loses the ball and only the people who are really, really paying attention can notice like, they lost the ball more than they should have. No goals resulted, but 5 out of 10, whatever. As opposed to a defender, it's like, we lost this game, 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Don't play anymore.
It's crazy because as a defender, you just can't make mistakes, and that's the game. You can have the best game possible as a defender, and you make that one mistake, and only everybody remembers that one mistake. And that's the one thing that's harsh about being a defender or a goalkeeper. But the thing is, you can't think that way. You just got to do your job and just play out every tackle, every pass, every, step that it's your last, so you always have to go in knowing that you hopefully will win the ball and knowing that the guy behind you got your back. So, and things happen. I mean, these are professional athletes. I always have to remember these guys are getting paid millions of dollars to score goals. And so, it is what it is. They get a goal. You just got to, say, okay, just move on. We'll try to get one back. And that's kind of what happened last season where, I effed up a pass. It deflected, went to Presbolico. Presbolico passed it. I think Aronson scored, and everyone looked at me. I said, I said D-A-M-N. I said that, and I was like, okay, well, pick my head up. I said, okay, let me get back in the game. We still got time. Next thing I know, 5-10 minutes later, it's a corner kick. I head the ball, goes in the goal, tie game.
You're like, what mistake?
Exactly, right? So
it's gone.
It's just like, hey, things happen. You just got to keep playing, and hopefully you just keep playing hard, and things will happen in your favor. So that's just keep growing into the game and keep getting experience, and just knowing that there's always going to be another chance. And that's kind of how I try to think about it. And as I'm growing as a player, you just always will get that, hopefully, that chance.
So speaking of defensive plays and then goals, I want you to ask the answer to this for me. MLS Cup final, DC United versus LA, let's say. Would you rather have a game-saving tackle to prevent a goal that goes on to win, or would you rather have the game-winning goal? He's got to think about it.
Okay. Dang, that is.
Well, one, you get the Eddie Pope moment.
Yeah, you do get the Eddie Pope moment.
Probably score.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's
I
the
would
right
too.
answer.
Everyone's gonna remember the goal, probably not the tackle, but probably the goal.
Yeah, fair that's enough. How you get free drinks with a goal. You don't get it with the slide tackle. That's just the way that goes.
There you go.
So you're still working towards your degree at Maryland, a thing your dad, the president of the university, is surely in favor of. Mm-hmm. What do you enjoy? This is kind of an offbeat question, but what do you enjoy most about sociology? And are the things about being a professional athlete, especially in a sport that's comes, as diverse as soccer is, both in a geographic perspective, but a socioeconomic background, all the different sort of walks of life that you come across in professional soccer. Do you see any of the frameworks that you're learning in school, like you can apply them? Does it give you a better lens into understanding different cultures and different teammates?
Okay. Well, Well, more so, we'll start here. More so, I wanted to be an environmental scientist, but I had to switch because I couldn't take the labs associated with it. So, I switched to sociology, but now, starting to learn more about the sociological perspective and, other people's norms and what they go through each day. I'm starting to, be more mindful about, what's going on around me and the people I'm with and learning tendencies about them. And, from reading the books and going through the classes associated with sociology, I'm starting to see concepts that relate to the stuff that I learned, the theories and, concepts and understandings and readings. I can relate them to what's going on in my life. So it's kind of cool to, initiate that into my everyday life. So that was kind of cool how I'm starting to, see that. But yeah, so I'm basically like four or three classes away from my degree for sociology. So I gotta take this one English class that I'm gonna dread because a lot of writing and I'm not the best typer. So I'm more of a writer, on a piece of paper. So hopefully I can do that with no problem. So I'm dreading that, but I really want to get my degree because my dad's keeps pushing for it because he's an academic. So
Yes.
That's big. So yeah, but I also wanted to study Chinese and keep doing that because I was studying that in high school and I wanted to continue that in college, but there was just not enough time for it. So hopefully another couple years once I don't know, just like I may have more time, I don't know, but I hopefully I can take more Mandarin classes and maybe do a trip there and maybe do some studies there because I wanted to study some environmental science aspects in China, but I just didn't have the time because soccer just got so I guess
You had other things on your plate.
yeah. So
Understandably
that was it. But those were I had a lot of not goals but thoughts that what I wanted to do, but things I just got pushed to the side, and now I'm living my dream being a soccer player, and I'm really blessed to be able to do that, and I'm having a great time. So.
Yeah, I changed my major 6 times and I'm not a professional soccer player. So
Hey,
clearly,
it's okay.
It can happen, right?
I was a
Do
poli sci.
Do you like your major?
Yeah, I use it. I guess
Okay,
I use it. It's probably
good.
enough.
I was a poli sci major, switched to computers. But
Okay.
speaking of languages, we got a question here from Nest Devil 09, just asking how you. I know you're kind of already answered the question. You're studying Chinese, but I know there was articles that were put out. A lot of the players learning Spanish, taking Spanish lessons to communicate with a lot of their players. Have you been doing any of that, or how's that been going?
Yeah, so they offered like a Spanish class my rookie season, and I was taking that after every session for like an hour and a half. So I was doing that, but the one thing is you got to keep practicing. So I wasn't practicing it, and so I should have reiterated it every time after class. But I was taking a class also during that time, so it was just like I kept putting it aside. But almost everybody on this team speaking Spanish, and it's just very hard for me to comprehend everything. And I feel bad because that's on me. So I know some phrases, but people are talking and say we're on the field and coach is talking to some of the guys, and I'm just looking at them like, I can't.
He's gonna come back. He's gonna translate for me. I'm gonna get a second tip.
Then Coach Hernan's like, he's like, and then he starts speaking in English. I'm like, thank the Lord. I'm just like, I'm looking around like, guys, what are we
subtitles?
Doing? Yeah,
we
need
something.
If you some above his head,
You got the Weston McKennie deer in the headlights look when he was started to ask the question in Italian, and then the guy's like, "I'm going to translate for it." And he's like, "Oh, okay, good."
Yeah.
100%.
I wanted to mention your profile on Club 11, which is great. Shout out to Pablo, friend of the show.
Thanks,
painted a great picture of you as someone who has worked really hard for the things that you've achieved. I feel like that really stood out. You talked about your ability to overcome academic challenges and doing so by sheer work and determination and just outworking it.
Right.
That personality trait, not just coasting on talent, applying hard work to get to your goal has served you well already. Do you feel like that's an essential skill for athletes, and the ones that don't make it, maybe the ones that I can think of players even in DC United's history who were able to get to a certain level based on their talent alone, and they weren't hard workers. And eventually you run into people that are just as good or better than you. But if you keep working, that's the only way you're going to maximize your talent. Do you think that's an essential skill for a good soccer player?
I think an essential skill is just to be competitive, in everything you do. And that's in, anything you do, whether that's academically or that's sports. And so if you're competitive and with always, the next guy, then, you want to better yourself in every, game, every training session, every practice. If you're going against, say, a guy in your position or who's, you're battling with, you always want to be, better than them. So that means you're going to start working harder. You want to, better your craft in any way possible. And I felt like that when, I had a player on my team growing up, and we always, he was really fast. I was really fast. He was a striker. I was a defender. And, we would go at each other every day. And it would make us, it was like iron sharpens iron kind of thing. And it made him and made me even like better and better players. And then there's the fact that he got pulled up to the next level and I stayed at my level. Even though like I felt like I was ready for that, I stayed there, and that kind of made me, a little angry. And that anger, it can make you better or it can make you worse. But I took that and I harnessed it. I got better. I worked harder, and I was like, okay, I know I can be on this next level just like this guy. And you just have to say, you want to set goals for yourself and make sure that you're always striving to be the best version of yourself possible and striving for excellence. And that's kind of what my dad preached, and he was really competitive and he never gave up. And, what he did, he started out as like a intern professor at University of Maryland, then became a professor. I would sit in his classes, do my homework. And, year after year kept, climbing the ladder. And next thing you know, he's the dean of the president of the engineering school. And then now he's the president. And it's just like, I see that. And it's just like, it's incredible how, much he's grown as a person, as a teacher, as, an individual, and as a father. It's incredible. So, my dad's been a huge influence on me, and same thing with my mom. And, just going through life with them just kept moving me as a person and growing me as the, young man I am today.
So we put a call out for listener questions, and I will say this is the most we've gotten back. There were some that very much read like personal inside jokes from your friends, which I guess is what happens when you're playing around people that you you went to school with. I didn't include too many of them because I don't think everyone would understand them, but I wanted to just do a speed round with you here as we, thank you for your time. I just want to make sure that we get through all these. At Bergwinkle says, what is your favorite aspect of Coach Losada's new system, and what has been the biggest challenge about learning this new system?
Okay. I think it's more so the fitness aspect, because we're going to have to be really fit to play this system. And we're playing, 3-5-2. So for us defenders, we got to be really fit. We're going to be running all over the place. And plus, we got to make sure we communicate. And, I got to make sure if I'm playing the left center back row, I got to tell Joseph Mora whether if he can go or stay. And that could determine a lot of things in the way that, we press as a unit or we drop off as a unit. So it's just being, I think, very aware of those situations and very vocal.
We got another question here from, I'm assuming this is Nelson Mandrista. Nielsen
Madridista. Yep.
Madridista. Okay. All right. I'll try my best. If you had the chance to play aside any player from any league, who would it be and why?
I would say probably Virgil van Dijk, just because, my favorite team is Liverpool. Great jersey. See, I was looking.
It's got Virgil on the back. I would turn around.
There you go.
Okay.
Excellent. So I would play with him. Also, it was kind of cool. I watched him when I was younger. I think I was like 17. We played Southampton when I was playing with the under-23s for DC, and we played Southampton. And he was on the team, and it was just cool. I was just like, wow. And he was like, massive, and he just is. Just character on the ball and just personality was incredible. And I admired him so much as a defender. And it was really cool to, see him, watch him play and play against him. So I think probably playing alongside him would be, an honor, a privilege, and a blessing, to say the least.
So this is from Echeverry Magic. This guy had 9 questions, and he was like, he has been asking for you to come on the show, I think, for about a month and a half. So I'm glad that you were able to make it.
Hey,
this guy's excited. Yeah. So, and it's actually a multi-part question. So, favorite DC United game so far? What was your feeling after you scored your first non-disallowed goal? Favorite UMD memory, and will you keep number 23? That's a good question because I have a Areola jersey with 13 on it. And I have a Yao jersey with 22, and he better keep that one. I'm gonna have to send him a note. But anyway, favorite DC United game so far, feeling after you scored your first goal that counted, and favorite UMD memory. And then number 23.
So favorite game, it probably was. I think it was the first goal. So I think it was the first goal that was not disallowed. So it was an actual goal against the Union, and just scoring that, just my celebration, the feeling, hugging Yamil because he gave me my first goal, and just everyone just happy for me, and I could see everyone was happy for me, hugging me. I think one time someone said, "Oh, you look like you were about to cry," and I was just like, I don't know. It was a lot of emotions. So I was just like, everything was just incredible. And then the second what was the second question? It was
how does it favorite UMD memory?
UMD memory. Okay. I probably was in the semifinal game in the NCAA tournament. So we played Indiana, and I think I got I want to say the go-ahead goal to get us into the final. And I think I beat this guy. Okay, what's cool is I beat this guy, Andrew Gutman, and he plays for FC Cincinnati. So I beat him to the ball, and I basically just nutmegged the keeper, and I scored, and I did some kind of somersault, which is very embarrassing.
Man, all out.
It was embarrassing. It was a bad celebration, but it was funny. Everyone laughed about it. But I think that was my best memory out of Maryland.
And are you going to keep number 23?
It
sounds like there's a number you want. It sounds like there's maybe a number that you're looking at.
I mean, yeah, my number in college, 240. I mean, I probably will stick for 23. I mean, at this point.
All right. Jersey buyers everywhere. That sounds like tepid confidence that 23 will be his jersey number in case, maybe something else happens. We'll see.
All right, Donovan, thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you get back to the rest of the preseason, and best of luck this season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Donovan. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, really appreciate it. All right, with that, guys, we're going to wrap up the show. Stick around. You're listening to the RFK Refugees podcast.